This man is the last human being on Earth. 400 years later, the human race is extinct on Earth. The Earth is nothing but ruins. Vegetation grows over abandoned buildings. He came from 400 years ago. Faced with this scenario, how can he save the human race 400 years ago? Today we recommend the science fiction film 2067. The story takes place in the year 2067. At this time, there is not a single plant left on Earth. Oxygen levels on the planet are becoming increasingly scarce. The air is no longer suitable for humans to breathe. If you want to breathe fresh air, you have to buy artificial oxygen. The main character, Ethan, is a maintenance worker. He and his friend Ryan are responsible for maintaining the world's last remaining core power source to maintain electricity. At this point, the Earth's oxygen level is only 3.3%. The normal oxygen level is 21%. That's why people wear breathing masks. Prolonged breathing of such oxygen will cause physiological rejection. The first sign is vomiting blood from the mouth. Once this rejection occurs, it's a countdown to life. Ethan came home from work one day. His wife suddenly vomited blood from her mouth. Ethan knew his wife's body was starting to reject it too, but there was nothing he could do. Just as Ethan was desperate, suddenly he was approached by a group of men. He and Ryan are taken to the company that makes oxygen. This is the only manufacturer of oxygen in the world. Gina is the CEO of the company. She leads them to a strange machine. Gina tells Ethan, it's a time machine. His father is the developer of this time machine. The time machine receives a message from 400 years later. The message says, send Ethan here. They don't know why Ethan was chosen, but they know that if the human race isn't extinct in 400 years, it means that future humans have solved the problem of oxygen regeneration, and that means they need him to go to the future to bring back the method of how to restore oxygen. Ethan agreed to the company's proposal, but on one condition, that the new product the company invented, his wife had to be the first to use it, and the company agreed to his request. Ethan was transported through a time machine to Earth 400 years later. Ethan is transported through a time machine to Earth 400 years later, but what he didn't expect was, it was full of life, but not a single human being in sight. Apparently, humans are still extinct. So who was it that sent a message through the time machine? Who sent a message to the time machine 400 years ago? Ethan used his artificial intelligence to a building, only to find a corpse. The body had a bullet hole in its head. It had obviously been shot. What surprised Ethan even more was that the corpse was himself. The bracelet on the body had turned green. He picked up the worn-out AI. He played the last recording. On the recording, he heard himself arguing with someone. Then there was a gunshot. He knew he was going to die here. This terrified Ethan to no end. Ethan sits by the fire at night. The artificial intelligence shows that the current time is 2474. At the same time, a bright light appeared in the sky. It turns out that his best friend Ryan has been transported here too. They found another door. Ethan's face can unlock the door, but once inside, it's pitch black. They find that on the computer screen. It was Ethan's name on the computer screen. When he pressed the confirmation button, the bracelet on his hand turned green. Then the machine automatically counted down 4 hours. At that point, this side will be connected to the 2067 channel, and they'll be transported back to the original time. Ethan pulls up a video recording. He found out that his father was the man who built the time machine. He helped the company build the time machine 20 years ago. He'd helped the company build the time machine 20 years ago. Ethan wanted to see what happened next. What he didn't expect was that the core power supply had failed. After all, it hadn't been maintained for over 400 years. The system indicated that in 4 hours, the power supply would explode violently due to lack of power. They arrived at the edge of the cliff. The scene before them was one of despair. The city was already in ruins. Came to the edge of the cliff. The scene before them was one of despair. The city was already in ruins. Mankind does not seem to have found a solution to the problem. The best solution is for the humans to die and for the Earth to recover itself. Ethan saw the bodies of many of his companions in the city, even his own wife. At this point, the AI says there are 2 hours left. 2 hours left to activate. They return to where the time machine is. The only way to get back to the time machine is to fix the core power supply first. This time Ethan was able to risk oxygen deprivation. He was able to fix the core power supply at a critical time. He plays the video footage again, and found out that Gina was thinking of abandoning all of humanity, to take some of them into the future and start again. Ethan's father refused to turn on the time machine. Gina shot and killed him. What Gina didn't expect was that the time machine's access was locked. It could only be opened by Ethan's DNA when he turned 20. The bracelet Ethan had was the key to the time machine, and Ryan is the one they put on Ethan's side. Ryan's mission is to kill Ethan. Just as Ryan was about to do it with his gun, he finally chose to kill himself. Perhaps it was the years of contact that prevented him from doing it. There wasn't much time before the launch. The people over there were ready to go. They were ready to move on to a new world. Ethan knew that if he didn't make a change, the human race would still be destroyed. He teleported a bunch of trees and plants back, and destroyed the equipment. The people of 2067 never had a chance to come back, but the vegetation might be humanity's hope. and Ethan's corpse is gone. History seems to have changed. When Ethan walked to the edge of the cliff again and found that everything had changed, the city was back. Mankind seemed to know the importance of protecting the earth. The environment was no longer as harsh. In its place, it was incredibly beautiful. This is the end of the story. Humans are always thinking about how to save the planet, but we don't see the damage that we have done. Nature is reborn after destruction, but we can't be reborn afterwards, so we can't keep thinking about saving the planet. Let's save ourselves first.